as we're live. Victory is ours. Apologies for those on YouTube for the delay. Welcome everyone to the political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. And hi to those on Spotify. Joining me to discuss the goings-on politically in the UK and in America is Trups LP. Say hello, Trups LP.
Hello, Trups LP.
How is Trups LP?
Trups is okay. Yes, chat. I work real job, and I actually coming into my apartment complex. I guess I timed it so well that the school children were also coming home.
Oh no!
And the school bus was like, "And we're gonna stop right here." I'm like, "Fuck."
Well, that's
all right.
That's just fantastic. Mm-hmm. Has Trups been able to get a drink before he starts?
Trups has drinks, mostly water though.
Yeah, I do too. I thought I'd try beer tonight because I'm exciting. It's Hobgoblin Gold. Never had it. I got a bottle of the same but ruby beer for my birthday. It's under my desk. I still haven't tried that. I'd like to at some point.
Good. Yes. But how are you doing? How are you doing this week?
I'm a bit. I'm all hit and miss. Okay. I managed to get out every day for a nice walk. Felt invigorated. But sadly today we had to put a dog to sleep.
Yes, I saw.
Which is why the beer is like more of a self-imposed toast, I guess. She was a good girl. I didn't know when I lifted and put her in the car. Thank you to the Money Fairy for the £10 donation. That's very kind of you. I didn't know when I put her in the car that she was going to, that was going to happen. I thought she was going to come home at least. Bit of an F. Bit unfortunate, but
an unironic F in this case.
Yes, and a very expensive F. Oh, Jesus.
I.
Oh, hang on. You've got a donation as well.
My fiance and I are, contemplating getting a dog now that I, have a house. We're trying to put up a fence, all that stuff.
That'd be exciting.
It would, and the biggest thing that always rears its head when I'm thinking about it is, oh no, do I have the money to pay for this? Which I hate that I have to think about that. Like, yeah, especially because I'm an adopt not shop type person.
I'm pretty much the same. I would rather give a home to somebody that doesn't have a home than bring someone into the world and give them a home.
Right, and it's not like, look, the puppies are going to get adopted, right? They're always going to get adopted.
Obviously.
So, but the ones that are in shelters are the ones that need us the most.
Yeah, the issue we have right now is because of the lockdowns, you cannot simply go and go and adopt a dog because you can't get in. And my sister had the issue when she took Misty down. They wouldn't let her in at first to be there when she was put to sleep. And my sister's that's sister's response is, and I'll be honest, this is what. Don't fuck with my sister. She'll knock your teeth out. She won't even think about it. She'll actually punch you. You can say no, but she'll take the mask off and then say to you, I'd rather the last thing she sees is a smile on my face than me sticking my fist in your face. So, yeah. And thank you for telling me what this beer's like, Theodore. I do appreciate that. I haven't actually sipped it yet, but I will. The positive this week was my sister, my youngest sister, who has Waffle. She got a puppy bulldog to keep Waffle company, and I'll be honest. My view is train the dog. You won't need another dog, but it worked straight away. He has immediately calmed down because of this puppy. Because he's like in a mother mode.
They're social.
Yeah,
I mean, there are very few animals out there that are.
Oh, that's good.
Like across the entire animal kingdom, they are solitary creatures. In terms of pets, almost all of them are social.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had every time I've had a pet, I had 2 rats at university. I had 2 hamsters after university, always together. And when one died, I made sure if I had with the rats, I made sure there was another pet in a cage next door at least, so they could see at least. They couldn't be together because they'd fight. But it's a big off-topic thing, I think.
Yeah, I apologize for that.
No,
It's just I get off on tangents because believe it or not, this is while it's not the politics that people come here to see. It is social politics, especially when it
Yeah.
comes to the breeding thing.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I'm not huge on breeders. I'm really not.
like one could call that social politics, but it's not. It's not what we're here to
It's
discuss.
okay. The very
Rather,
first, don't forget the first stream we did that was on Spotify was on Stonks, and there was very little politics
oh no,
discussion on that. Remember?
yes, I
I loved that. That was
yeah.
so much fun.
Oh, I love our chatty streams.
Yeah,
I
they're more
think
fun.
that we would have a good time just having chatty streams, and I think the audience would actually enjoy some of our chatty
Oh,
streams.
we should do it more often
Um,
then, shouldn't we?
yeah, I think so.
Not today though, because there's too
No,
annoying.
no, no.
There's some annoying things going on, and I'd like to talk about them.
Plus, you should be with your family.
They're all in
But
bed now, but I
yeah,
get you.
let's talk about the annoyances in our governments, shall we?
Okay, I'll start with the UK government. Okay, now we're going to go on to Scotland because there's nothing happening. There was some mention in Parliament of what's been going on in Scotland. There was a point of order raised because what has happened in Scotland, it sets a very dangerous precedent, and it shows a really peculiar balance of power. Now, I don't know. Have you, Trups, been keeping up to date with what's been going on during the Alex Salmond inquiry?
Why no? That sounds very
Good.
specific.
I'm so glad you said that. Because I've got something
You
on.
had to know that I was gonna be like, "Fuck no."
I'm glad you said this because I really want to show you this screen now that's up. And I'm going to read it for those who obviously are listening to this on Spotify. Link below. 30. The First Minister told Parliament, and then brackets see official reports on the 8th, 10th, and 17th of January 2019. That she first learned of the complaints against me, Alex Salmond, when I visited her home on the 2nd of April 2018. That is untrue and is a breach of the ministerial code. The evidence from Mr. Aberdeen that he personally discussed the existence of the complaints and summarised the substance of the complaints with the First Minister in a pre-arranged meeting in Parliament on the 29th of March 2018, arranged for that specific purpose, cannot be reconciled with the position of the First Minister to Parliament, Scottish Parliament. The facts that Mr. Aberdeen learned of these complaints in early March 2018 from the Chief of Staff to the First Minister, who thereafter arranged for the meeting between Mr. Aberdeen and the First Minister on the 29th of March to discuss them, is supported by his sharing that information contemporaneously, that's a long word I've never seen before, with myself, Kevin Pringle, and Duncan Hamilton advocate. This is a piece of evidence derived from a statement, a 21-page piece of paper, document, I guess, booklet, pamphlet, essay, by Alex Salmond in the inquiry into whether or not Nicola Sturgeon breached the ministerial code. This is him proving, well, his evidence proving that she did, because she learnt about things, well, about 4 days earlier. Hang on. Does March have 30 or 31 days? Doesn't matter. 3 to 4 days. Meaning she lied. Thank you. She lied. And this is his statement. Now, there was an issue. The Crown Courts had decided, because of what he put in his 21-page document, that it had to be heavily redacted because it could imply names of the victims of those that accused Alex Salmond of sexual assault. The problem with this is he was found innocent, not guilty on all charges except for one where it was found not proven. Okay? Not proven.
So a lack of evidence.
Exactly. Right? He was found not guilty on all the other charges, though. Meaning that none of these people are should be allowed any form of anonymity at all, really. The fact they've protected the liars is a really interesting part. And to protect them this way is really strange. So The Spectator, a UK tabloid, appealed this, and they won it, which meant that Alex Salmond could then provide evidence. Okay, I need to go to my Twitter for a moment, because I was I was kind of cross, a bit annoyed. I was a bit peeved by
So
this.
while you go and go to your Twitter, can you
I've,
explain to me a little bit about what's going on in the back end? Like these sexual assault allegations. You said that the guy was
Alex Salmond.
um
Okay, Alex Salmond was the first minister of Scotland for a while. He
okay.
was. He stepped down after he failed to get independence for Scotland. Nicola
Okay.
Sturgeon took his place. She was his successor. Not long
Mhm.
after this, he ran for UK Parliament. He was there for a while, but these allegations came up, and he decided to step away from politics to fight them. Last year, and I did a Halls of Injustice on this, Alex Salmond was
Mhm.
found innocent. Because of it, Alex Salmond received over £500,000 to cover his legal costs. That came out of the Scottish taxpayers' money. That's their money that went to
Mhm.
him. Why? Because this investigation was raw, was just reeked of wrong. Something didn't make sense. And this is where the problems are. So I read a piece of evidence out earlier. And actually, before they do that, I'm gonna show you what they did first. It's on the screen. So I'm now going to change it. I'm going to update the evidence because the Scottish Nationalist Party decided in Scottish Parliament to vote on whether or not to overrule the Crown Court that permitted this evidence you see on the screen to be used or not. And do you know what the
Can we
Scottish
do
Parliament
that?
decided to do? You hang on.
Grant that request?
I'm going to answer your question. Can they do that? It's funny you ask that because they did it. So what you now see on the screen is all the evidence redacted. Literally anything that incriminates Nicola Sturgeon redacted. This evidence has been known for 2 weeks. It's been known for 2 weeks. Publicly, we've known about this. But the Scottish Parliament decided to vote to redact all of it because they believe it somehow could lead back to those who accused Alex Salmond of these sexual charges. Somebody, by the way, did get put in prison recently, actually, for leaking the names of those people. I don't know what their names are. I don't care.
The UK has a history of protecting criminals. What was the terrible 10-year-old's name?
Oh, well,
Or the two 10-year-olds?
the two kids, John Venables and Robert Thompson were the two
Yeah,
kids, the two boys. They weren't 10 years old. I think one was 8 and one was 10 or something. Uh,
yeah.
but
But
yeah,
like,
we do have a history of
but
it.
that's an international doctrine. I'm not allowed to talk about that. Or
Yeah,
the British government will tell the American government to come find me.
it's in a treaty. It's
Yeah,
really so. This is what pissed off the UK government when this happened. This is why a point of order was raised because they've overruled the court. First of all, they were the ones who went to the Supreme Court in the UK over prorogation of Parliament, and we obeyed it. But when they were told, no, this has to be made public, which it had been anyway, they decided to vote in their interest, which led to me, quite frustratingly, tweeting out, if your way of handling legal criticisms is to vote to redact all the evidence, then you are by definition corrupt. The SNP are a truly corrupt party and should be ashamed of themselves for they besmirch the word democracy with their truly abhorrent behaviour. The Crown Court gave a ruling and it protected the lives of the false rape claimers, yet you are weaponising it to prevent Nicola Sturgeon from having to resign. And she should resign at this point, for this farce has made you more of a laughingstock than Boris. Well done. Oh, and I know this comes from an Englishman, the dreaded enemy, but your party is a party of undemocratic snakes and utterly lacking in any integrity. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Go and preach from your precious little box about how you plan to win the next election. Fairly, of course. If you can't handle the process, you may as well ban it so as to truly prevent anyone from looking into your disgusting dealings. Much like you want to essentially ban free speech. I was quite irate.
I can tell.
I should put it on mines.
Have you ever considered that everybody around you, and I mean like the UK, right? Have you noticed that everyone takes advantage of you?
A little bit, yes. It's quite frustrating at this
Like
point.
the French,
We don't talk about those.
the EU.
We don't talk about them
Scottish.
either. We'll deal with it. We'll deal with them
You
though.
guys have a history of getting taken advantage of in the last 20 years.
You know what it's like.
Work on
the
that.
funny thing is, I think there's like this magnanimous approach. It's like we'll just give them a little bit. I see it more as a rather gullible lion who has a really irritating mouse who's trying to bite his toe, and he just lets him do it. And I think the mouse is Scotland, and we're better than them. And by the way, I don't mean Scotland. I mean the mouse is SNP. They're just this. By the way, this is a huge issue right now because the SNP have an election, so this whole incident really doesn't do them any good. They need this to end. They need it to end on their terms. So of course they're going to vote to protect themselves rather than do the right. It's the party line politics, and I don't care for it. In the UK, even in the UK Parliament, they don't do that. They do on some like domestic issues, but when it comes to things on a big scale, they don't. You saw it happen with Brexit. They were so divided, and I loved it because it was so heated. On the smaller domestic policies where it's parties, yes, they do it. Of course they do, because it's a manifesto thing. But on things like this, no, they don't. They won't do it. Because to do that is... when they tried it with prorogation, what happened? They got annihilated, and they accepted it. They accepted the L. It's not a good look. It's a big distraction. And you know what really makes it strange is that Nicola Sturgeon, she gave a coronavirus press briefing recently. And during that press briefing, for no reason whatsoever, she inferred something quite dangerous. And obviously she inferred it, so it's not as bad. But what she did was, she inferred that the ruling of him being found not guilty could have been wrong.
I mean...
Well, she ignored courts before with the Crown Court ruling, so I'm not surprised.
Okay, I'm going to play a bit of devil's advocate here because...
Go on.
All things considered, yes, being found not guilty can be an accident.
True.
What was the statement? It's rather 10 guilty people go free than one innocent person sentenced.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, of course, people get found not guilty for things they totally did all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's an entire movie based off the idea that somebody was found guilty of killing like their wife, but it actually like they weren't dead, and so in like for fun, technically because they had already served the jail sentence for killing their wife who had faked their own death, he killed them after the fact because he's already been in prison for it.
Yeah.
So they can't retry him.
Yeah, that's double jeopardy, isn't it?
Yeah, the movie is called Double Jeopardy.
I didn't. I completely zoned out for a second. I do apologize.
Oh, that's okay. But you know, it's one of those things that I think is kind of funny. That you know, technically we do have this, but yes, more to your point. Yes, I believe that your people are psychotic.
Yeah. Green Sun in the chat says, wasn't he found not proven on one charge? The rest were not guilty. I know this because I did a damn video on it. I was so I've been saving sources when that happened for months. And when it happened, I was like... I mean, there's another thing. I've been saving sources for a while. Wait for Monday. So today, was it yesterday? I think it was today. Alex Salmond, he finally appeared at the inquiry after this whole debacle. And he gave his side of events. And his side of events contradicted outright everything Nicola Sturgeon had said. And he, when asked about this, did he believe Nicola Sturgeon broke the ministerial code? He says, I've got no doubt Nicola Sturgeon has broken the ministerial code. During this, he also said that there were a number of people who should resign. And that he didn't include Nicola Sturgeon. He did include Nicola Sturgeon's husband. What's his name? I've forgotten his name. Peter Morell, that's it. And there were other ministers, other assistants, and civil service employees that should resign over the because he believes they have conspired against him now. And I'll be honest, use Linktree now, good man, because of all the way this is all being coming out. It looks like a big stitch up. And the funny thing here is in the UK, unlike in your country, where we'll get to in a moment, where things are a bit copy-paste and uniform, which is really weird. In the UK, believe it or not, we have a very... I will throw shade happily at the BBC for not being... for being biased. I will throw shade at anyone for being biased on some very key issues, mostly against the Tories. I will happily throw shade. But when it comes to the Labour Party, and when it comes to like the SNP, the Liberal Democrats, they're not biased. When it comes to throwing, unless it's a very right-wing outlet, like maybe the Daily Mail perhaps, if you go with like the Guardian, Independent, you go even the BBC, when it comes to reporting on this, they're actually fair. And they've been hammering the living feck out of them. Because this is disgusting. I wanted to do a video this week doing another update on what happened. But on Monday I was like, I really need to change the videos I do on this channel a little bit. I still may do one on Monday, but I'm not sure yet. We'll see. But then, this is so messy, and it's still ongoing. But Alex Salmond has given his evidence. And it doesn't line up with anything Nicola Sturgeon has said. If she is found to have breached the ministerial code, she has to resign. Not because they tell her to, but because there's no way she can run a party with that on her. It's like saying you lose a vote of no confidence, you lose it, and then decide to stay. What are you at that point?
I don't know. What are we?
You're a lame duck. You're undemocratic. There is someone like that in UK politics. Somebody who failed. Someone who lost a vote of no confidence and yet stayed. Do you know their name? It wasn't long ago.
Will.
He was he had a lovely white beard, and he was leader of the Labour Party for a few years.
Oh, Jeremy?
Yeah, Jezza. He lost the vote of no confidence with his own party and then stayed. Yeah.
That's right.
How democratic do you have to be to say, my party doesn't want me here, so I'll just stay here a bit longer?
Hey, it shows a resolve. That's about all
It does. I'll give him some credit for staying for as long as he did, and he had a crack at it. I always had this view, Charming Man 93, Mitch, and I had a similar view. Jeremy Corbyn was the right leader, but at the wrong time. And that sounds really strange, but he could have been Prime Minister, but not with Brexit, because he didn't have a view on it. He's facing a confidence vote on the budget soon. Yes, he is. Also on lockdowns. People are just done with this. Thank you, Theodore Ichabod, for mentioning that. I appreciate it. But it's honestly, this week has been so quiet with the UK government. Scotland is where all the action's at. So, as far as updates on this goes, where is it? I've got something written here. Right. Nicola Sturgeon has denied lying to Parliament, but because the SNP, yes, it was SCOG 1950, thank you, because the SNP have not been handing over evidence when requested, not even a joke, by the way, they have not been when you get like a subpoena, you have to be there, you have to provide evidence, yes?
Allegedly.
Right. Well, if
I say allegedly because
yeah, I know.
I guess.
Yeah, I know. But let's just go with the the core principled version of it, shall we?
Usually.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. We take that to the SNP, and what they do is they will give you back one of two things: an IOU, a post-it note that says that with evidence written underneath, or they will take forever. Either because they're destroying the evidence, which is obviously a conspiracy and not proven, but honestly, because of how long they take, it's just astonishing. They They take
It wouldn't surprise me. Just
yeah,
saying.
based on what we're hearing so far. I've been reading. It's just, I'm sorry, but I've been saying for years the SNP have a track record for not providing evidence when requested. For years I've been saying this, and this is such an important thing, and they needed to end quickly, but they had taken so long that it's gotten to a point where we're like, so where's your proof that you got these dates then?
What you doing over there, hey guys?
Yeah.
What's taking so long?
What's with
like you're peeking over the fucking fence, like what's going on?
What's with the group hug? Why are you all wearing tinfoil hats? What's going on?
Hey, what you guys planning something?
I see it.
Having a party? Can I come?
I see a Facebook Corona party. What's it? With her? Why am I not invited? The point is, they have a horrible track record, and it's quite frustrating that they haven't provided the evidence. It's just he said, she said. Thing is, Alex Salmond provided his evidence only to get redacted. It's like it's already public.
Feels bad. Feels bad for this dude. Like let's take like a hot second. This guy had sexual assault allegations, all of which he was found either not guilty or not enough evidence.
Yep.
And this guy has basically been there to say, hey, I have this evidence about this wrongdoing, and because I care about how this country is going, I feel like it's my civic duty, if you will, to inform the people of this. Could I submit this, and maybe you guys give me some credit, considering I'm the first minister of your fucking country?
Well, he's still called
and
Right
they're
Honourable.
like, nah.
The funny thing is, right, I'm not the biggest fan of Alex Salmond at all. He's a prick, right?
I mean, sure.
Okay, he wanted Scottish independence. He was always very anti-English. But I'm fully in his corner on this. I'm fully invested, not because I believe... or I want Nicola Sturgeon gone, but because nothing about this looks or feels right. It all reeks of wrong. And there is a claim he made early on that their intention was to stop him from making a political comeback by getting a seat and winning it.
Hey, I've heard of that before.
Yeah, sounds oddly familiar. The thing is, it kind of makes sense. Now, Nicola Sturgeon believes that she has no regrets about any of this, about the investigation that went into Alex Salmond that led to an utterly cocked up trial that cost the taxpayer $500,000. Well, actually cost them £513,000, I believe. £512,250. That's a lot of money.
We'll call it a bunch.
We'll call it, I don't know what the slang is for that. I only know up to pony, I'm afraid. I don't even know what that means.
You've lost me.
So the UK Justice Secretary, there's a Cockney slang for certain amounts of money, like pony, ton, there's a couple others. So the UK Justice Secretary says that the inquiry into the handling of the claims against Alex Salmond are a distraction. Being quoted as saying, the priorities of the people of Scotland are fighting the virus and trying to live with it and getting back to normal along with the rest of the UK. I think they'll be at best puzzled and at worst dismayed by this constant intrigue coming against the background of an obsessive mission by the SNP to call another independence referendum. I'm afraid it is showing a political establishment in Edinburgh that is increasingly out of touch with the reality of day-to-day life. My view is, it is showing a political establishment in Edinburgh that is increasingly out of touch with democracy. Because they're doing everything in their interest only. In their interest. And that is why this all reeks of wrong. The Alex Salmond inquiry, has shown this. You cannot redact evidence like this.
Especially when everyone's already seen it.
It's like saying, "Oh, everyone's seen it, but now you know."
It takes some balls to take something that people have already seen, right? And in any other court case, it basically tainted the jury, right?
Taints the inquiry.
Yeah, definitely. And basically said, "Yeah, that thing that you all seen, no, you haven't. There is no war."
It's Obi-Wan Kenobi. You saw nothing. 2 fingers. You saw nothing here. Go back to your
No, literally,
jobs.
and that's how it feels because it either shows a massive contempt for the people, or is just it gives no regard for the people. It's either contempt or you don't care.
Back, back to the kilt factories with all of you.
Hmm.
Oh, it's an absolute joke. I'm done with it. Let's talk about America.
Ah, yes, America. We are back in action, fully loaded and ready to explode. I've chosen my words very carefully.
You really have.
Yes.
Why?
Well, that's because do you remember my tinfoil hat conspiracy
Yeah.
nonsense that I was spouting before the election?
Yes, I
When I
remember it all.
thought, yes, I had postulated that should Joe Biden get elected, we can foresee that we will be involved in some kind of Middle Eastern entanglement. I said within the first few months, or I think definitely within the first year. I said. I don't remember the specific when I got down.
You
to
said
it.
within a
But
year.
oh well, I nailed it then because it was only a month and a half.
Because I actually went back and listened. It was you said within the first year, if he was still
Okay. Well, I nailed
president.
it. Yeah. Well, I nailed it because America just, I believe, yesterday
Mm-hmm.
launched an airstrike at Iran-backed militias in Syria.
Do you want to do me a favor and just
Mm.
read one, because we don't need the others, one of the titles from the articles you sent me earlier?
Oh, of course. Hold on. Let me.
While
let me
you're doing
pull
that,
those
I
up.
just want to say from an outside observing, and it really, I mean, I was prior to Misty was it took my mind when I found out about Misty, my mind was on this, and then I shut down, didn't obviously think about this. But my thought initially was, upon seeing those messages from you, I was like, do I want to elect somebody that acts without informing the people in advance of what is going to happen, or do I want someone who's in office that is so blunt and abrasive, I not only know what they're going to do, I can at least, I will know exactly where they're going to do it about a week before they even strike. Clandestine or open, what do I want?
I personally like open.
So do I. And that
So
sounds...
let me
This could...
let me read off
you
the
read that.
headline real quick.
Before you do that, I
So
just want to say, this
yeah.
this isn't necessarily a binary thing, but since your system is, you only realistically have those two choices.
Mm.
Read your article, please.
Yes. Okay. So the article title from I guess we'll pick the CNN one.
Yeah, please.
U.S. carries out airstrikes in Syria, targeting Iranian-backed militias.
Okay, can you do me a favour?
Mm-hmm.
Can you read another title, please?
Yes, of course. From U.S. News.
Okay.
U.S. airstrikes in Syria target Iranian-backed militia.
Do we have any more titles from any other articles? Because this seems a bit,
Why, yes.
bit too similar.
Well, yes. NBC News. Biden orders airstrikes in Syria, retaliating against Iran-backed militias.
This is really strange.
Here, I'll do one from your country, just so we're out
please.
of the, out of America. BBC News. Biden takes first military action with Syria strike on Iran-backed militias.
Now, something about this doesn't... I don't know. It feels almost... I don't know how to describe it. How would you describe it, Trups?
Organized. I guess you could use the word coordinated. Maybe even
Ironic.
Yeah, right. Okay. Maybe you could say almost like they all wrote the same shit.
It's when you see the article writer and it's just it's Jane Doe, Jane Doe, Jane Doe. It's not, but that would have been really funny.
But yeah, basically, what I had sent Meg earlier was about 12 or so articles from about midday, and all of them, with mild changes, all had U.S. or Biden attacks Syria targeting Iran-backed militias.
I do want to just say now that obviously the thing that really sticks to me is I don't recall seeing, and I've been paying attention to the news, I really have. I have not seen any reference to any of this until the attack happened. And that concerns me. Because I didn't know anything about these Iranian-backed militias. Nothing. There was nothing in the news about them until Biden struck.
Yeah,
and that's
so apparently there is it's like the Custodians of Blood, I think is their name or something like that. Which makes me think like, Blood Janitor. That's an edgy name. I like that. Apparently that's the militia, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of them before. But apparently they had taken responsibility for some terrorist attack that had cost the lives of, I think it was a American contractor.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of an interesting situation, I suppose you could say that there was a terrorist attack on our foreign assets, and I can't tell you when that was. Perhaps they were busy talking about impeachment.
It's always possible.
Ordinarily I would say it's, we only had one, so like how likely is it that something over the span of the more recent history would be plagued by impeachment? But we had impeachment 2 Electric Boogaloo, so yeah, I can't say for certain when the fuck that happened, because basically the end of the first impeachment strung into the next one. Because you had election season.
I just want to say on the Electric Boogaloo thing, no lie, when the second impeachment happened, I get this beer subscription box every month with 10 beers in. One of them is called Electric Boogaloo, and when the impeachment happened, I was going to drink it on this stream. I was like, it works! I was so excited! And then I forgot. So I've got a can of Electric Boogaloo downstairs. Can we please get a third impeachment? I'd very much like to drink that beer.
Would it be 2 Electric Boogaloo?
It's only I can put the number on there. I've got a pen. I've got a Sharpie. I can do some graffiti on there.
Well, yes. Can graffiti. Yes, so that yeah, I can't tell you when the fuck that happened. I legitimately have no idea when that happened, and it's not because the information's per se not out there. I just have not looked, and more importantly, it wasn't really the newsworthiness that I kind of expected it to be.
It really
when
is
it was, because I could tell you pretty much, in the last month or so, we had GameStop, right? We had the attack on the Capitol. I can tell you when all of those things happened, but I can't tell you when a terrorist unit attacked our people.
You can also tell how many people that were executed under Trump, how many airstrikes he ordered in his 4 years. And
I believe it was 59 missiles launched in Syria after 1 year of presidency, if I remember correctly.
I think it was. But they had all these numbers. There was like he's like a war crime. He's a war president almost. And I'm like,
who? Trump?
That's what you remember seeing that before he before he left. They were talking about how many airstrikes he'd done, how many troops he deployed, and they were trying to make it seem bigger than what it was, obviously, because he was pulling.
Yeah, how many
back,
troops he deployed?
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I don't. I think I probably pushed even the headline aside. You guys are so full of it.
Yeah. The point is,
I probably just completely ignored them.
What I mean is, there was such a big deal out of these, and it was such a big deal because him bad. But you said it before he was inaugurated. There is never any criticism of Biden. There legit is none, other than memes of him either sniffing hair or forgetting things or being sleepy. I actually had about 12 memes lined up, but I forgot to create the slideshow for it, otherwise we'd have them on the screen now. I do apologise. Perhaps next time. Oh no, I could do it now. I could do it, but it would make the stream look messy, and no.
No, it's
So,
alright.
in our messages earlier, I mentioned the budget confirmation going wrong, and you replied, basically for me, it's just everything Joe Biden does is a disaster. Did you look into the budget thing?
So cursory. It was there were a few budget things when I pulled it up because Biden's budget director.
She wasn't confirmed. People were saying she's been tweeting some bad things.
Yeah, not so great.
I
Her
don't know what
name
she
is
did.
Neera Tanden, a longtime Democratic political and policy aide.
Oh, thank you, Sammy Head, for the £5 donation. $5 donation. It's very generous of you. Hi.
Thank you. With a history of, as the New York Times puts it, combative Twitter posts that criticize lawmakers in often colorful terms.
Which explains then
Now-
why there's a divide in the Senate, where even Dems are like,
Yeah.
nah, fam.
And also kind of interesting that that's how the New York Times puts it. And also, I want to point out, there's no link to what she said in that New York Times article.
I couldn't find them. I was even on Twitter with her when she was trending, and I couldn't find, when I scrolled through that trending tab, I couldn't find the tweets. I couldn't find anything, and that's why I found this so strange. But she's not been
Let's see
confirmed,
here.
so it's been delayed at least.
Yeah, it's been delayed.
That's not a bad thing, because there are. I mean, I don't know anything about this person. I cannot criticize them, having not seen anything. But obviously, this is not a good look for Joe Biden to have his first choice essentially not be confirmed yet, or possibly not be confirmed at all. Oh, go on.
Senator Rob Portman reminded her this month. You wrote that Susan Collins is the worst, that Tom Cotton is a fraud, that vampires have more heart than Ted Cruz, and you called Leader Mitch McConnell Moscow Mitch and Voldemort. You called Senator Sanders everything but an ignorant slut.
Oh my god! Oh, I like that. I like that as much
The
as
Office reference.
Thanks,
John Kennedy.
The Sanders thing actually reminded me of a tweet I saw earlier. It was from just a guy. I pay $165 a month on my student loans for the next 13 years to pay them off. With Bernie Sanders' plan, my student loans will be forgiven. I'll only have to pay $450 extra in taxes a month for the next 25 years to make sure I have no more student debt. I love Bernie Sanders jokes. By the way, that to me is really funny what they've said. I find that funny. Criticisms of others. It's good. It's a good laugh.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. Politics and political figures are not exempt from, criticism or spicy tweets.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I believe the word that they use when people call it cancel culture is they call it consequence culture.
Yeah, it's consequences, yeah.
Okay, here's your consequence culture.
Yeah.
You've said some shit, and now the people who you have said shit about decide whether or not you get a job.
Well, if you're going to bash the very people that then have to confirm you, don't be surprised if they don't. That's brilliant. Oh, I love this. Yeah. I love her now. I love it. No, confirm her. It's funny. It's too funny.
No, I don't want her as a budget director.
I'm kidding. By the way, on the subject of budget, so I can't help but notice. I can't help but people have been saying that he has a plan and it's in motion and they're working on it and referencing a couple $100 million being spent on some things. But then I realized when thinking about it, a couple $100 million being spent on something else doesn't actually cover the costs of giving 300 million people $2,000. Where's your $2,000? Or your 1,400?
Funny story. I typed in stimulus, and then I clicked the news tab in my DuckDuckGo browser.
Yeah.
And one of the first things that came up in all was Yahoo News asking, so are the new stimulus checks coming yet?
Twitter have been joking about this, about the fact that first of all, $2,000 is 1,400, and I say that's it's 1,400 after tax.
It's a supplement of the fucking 600.
Yeah, yada yada, blah 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 blah. Suck my dick. It's just no one's got it.
No one's got it. That's because it hasn't passed. It's because he was like, I'm gonna get it to you, and meanwhile Trump was like, I'll give it to you. And Mitch was like, no.
Mitch is a dick on this one because he stopped it twice. He stopped it twice last year as well, didn't he? I heard about. I'd read about it just for the stream.
Technically.
Yeah, I read about it last year.
For once, Trump and Sanders were actually on the same page in like the last 2 weeks of his presidency.
Well, he was right as well.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a great it was a great thing to mention in the last couple weeks. Hey, you guys want another stimulus bill? I'm heading out, so it doesn't fucking matter to me. And Mitch McConnell was like, "No, how dare you? We have a Georgia Senate race to lose."
It's when people like Pelosi and all that lot thought that $600 covers people's rent and bills for a month. How out of touch are you?
Don't think who lives in a very a modest area, right? $600 does not pay any rent around here, unless maybe I lived in a trailer park.
Just to say, for the sake of it, when I worked part time, I used to long ago, £600 a month. Yeah, we just put a pound sign on that. Yeah, you could live on that in a house share. You could do it. It could be done. You'd have to live very carefully, but this would have been back in like the early turn of the century, where I grew up, where the living cost of living was a lot less. Now, I'll be honest, to live in a house like the one I live in, you need to earn about $1,500 to $2,000 a month to be able to pay the rent on the house, the taxes, food, bills, all bills. You need a lot of money, and it's not as simple as being. You have to be truly out of touch. $2,000. Obviously, that does vary in some states. Some states that's going to go a long way. It really is.
It's more like where in the state you are.
Yes, of course, you'd know this better than I do. Yeah, you're right. Regional areas, it's still a cost of living. I get you. You're right.
For example, for you guys, the closer you get to London, the more expensive it is. It's similar.
Or any place where Londoners have bought a second home, it gets more expensive because of those tossers.
Yeah, fair.
So
that's true.
So Biden,
it's New Yorkers.
Biden said he would get that done. It hasn't been done.
No, he has not.
He also said he would do something else. What was it? He would do something. He also said if you sign executive orders, you're a coward. That in other words, but yeah, he did say that. What else did he say?
Spoken with no level of irony.
Yeah. What did he say he would do when he was in office straight away? What did he say he would do? He'd fix something.
He said a lot of things.
He hasn't done much.
I don't know necessarily which way you're going down, but I mean, he said that he wouldn't ban fracking, he wouldn't stop oil jobs.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That worked out.
Yeah. Well, he actually flip-flopped on fracking, didn't he?
I mean, he restricted it on federal land the first day in office.
Yeah, that was a mistake. Well, the fracking thing's a contentious point about fracking. I'm not going to be drawn in on that one. But if you say one thing and then do the other, yeah. There is.
Yes, and also, by the way, realistically, the absolute worst thing for Biden right now is his press secretary, because she's giving the media. It's like, the saying, give them enough rope to hang themselves.
Yeah, don't give them too much.
Well, she's giving herself enough rope to hang herself.
Problem they've got is
because
there's a problem here already, though.
Okay.
And you earlier referenced it when I asked you to read titles from articles. They're not reporting on anything negative. They're only shining him as a saint. I'm seeing absolutely jack shit about this press secretary.
I know that he has a dog, and the dog has a Twitter account.
Or that he puts fire in the fireplace. I don't care about any of that. I want to see why when he says he'll do something, why he hasn't done it. And yes, okay, I know that. I remember now. There was a blame. We didn't have the reason the stimulus hasn't gone through. The reason we haven't done all these other things we said we'd do straight away is because the Trump administration didn't work with us with the transition. And I was like,
Okay, sure, but that would only work if there was no policy in place beforehand. So,
mm-hmm.
for example, the coronavirus rollout, the vaccine, right? That vaccine rollout was Operation Warp Speed. That was put in place by the Trump administration. And Joe Biden is not only attempting to take credit for Operation Warp Speed, but is also originally had blamed the Trump administration for allegedly not leaving them a effective vaccination plan. Meanwhile, everybody on the in the actual the actual doing job and not the talking job was like, "What are you talking about? We have this plan here. We have a schedule. Like, the fuck." I don't know what you're saying. Okay. Whatever you say, old man.
You cannot continue. I mean, you can, and I'll be honest, they'll use him as a scapegoat because they can. You shouldn't seek to constantly blame the past for something you haven't done. If you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, the onus is on you, and that's how I've always looked at it. The thing with Trump is, whether you like him or not, he said he would do things, and he did it. He said by the end of 2020 he would have a vaccine. He took the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
He did it. He kept his word. The rollout. He didn't have a chance for. He didn't have a chance for a rollout because he got voted out, and he spent the last few weeks. Well, he was trying to get you $2,000.
Defend himself?
Yeah, he was defending it. Well, he was trying to also get the $2,000 for people, but that didn't work either. It's just. He was signing some executive orders and pardons. Yes, he did that for Lil Wayne, was it? Yeah, and others. And that, I mean,
I don't know if it was Lil Wayne. I think it was some other rapper.
I don't know. It could have been Snoop Dogg for all we know. I just don't care. The point is, he didn't have to have a plan because he was on his way out. What can he devise in a couple of weeks that would do anything? He did one thing that he said he would do.
Not to mention,
and I will agree.
Do you remember all of his cabinet people started resigning after the
yeah they did
the freaking incursion?
And I will say this, Raina Park in the chat. I don't know if the vaccine is something that Trump did. You're right, but it is something that happened during his administration, and he said it would happen. He kept his word. There are very few things he did where he didn't keep his word, and that's actually admirable.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, and this reminds me of the guy from last week, us being Trumpies apparently, or me being a Trumpy. I don't know. I don't care. My view is the mark of a politician, the mark of anyone, is what they do and what they say they'll do, and if they actually do it. I hate the fact that I've more and more recently I've been referring to politics as being corrupt. I don't need to. The problem is, if you speak to any person who is, let's say, blue collar, yeah. You say politics, you don't need to say corrupt because that's what they think of it. The reputation of politics is so bad that all they think is politics is corrupt. I don't like that. But with Trump, it was something different because he kept his word. I'm sorry, but that makes... You may not like him, but that makes him a good...
At the very least...
He had integrity.
Yeah, believe it or not.
And I don't
and the shocking thing right now, right, is the amount of BS that was pulled in blaming Trump for X, Y, or Z, right?
Yeah.
All of those things were projections because that's what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because now that Biden is in his presidency, he's doing the things that were bad.
So that's a very interesting point because I had acquired a tweet from somebody. Oh, I've saved it as well. Where is it? Oh, here we go. So back in November, Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks. On November the 6th, democracy is such a messy, wonderful thing. Through the invisible hand of the market, we have found ourselves with a comforting grandpa as our leader at a time when we needed an old, comfortable sweater. Time to lean back on the couch for a couple of years while we catch our breath. That's after he threw a load of shit at Trump and had merch on the Young Turks store saying he's fired, with all the memes and other really bad crybaby pictures they did. On the 25th of February 2021. So, Joe Biden bombs Syria and kills minimum wage hike. Confirmed every fear progressives had. Soon they'll renege on getting $2,000 checks to everyone on the middle class by limiting who gets it to appease their donors. The establishment is back and it absolutely sucks. To which I retweeted, but you voted for this, you fucking prick.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you did.
Because with no level of irony, they have no understanding of the things that they do to themselves.
It's just terrible. Ugh. I will be mentioning that in This Week at Twitter, by the way, because I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna, yeah, you guys screwed this.
Oh, big time.
By the way, I'm not going to say that having Trump for a second term would have been any better for you guys. I couldn't say. Not my place. But you voted for Biden,
Plus,
and you
I would never be able to tell you.
You allowed.
Because it never happened.
True. You allowed the political establishment to choose your candidate, somebody who had nothing. How the hell did he even win the nomination? Oh, that's right. He was backed by corporate America, who chose your candidate for you. Well done, by the way. And then you had to vote for him because bad man, orange man even, and against sniffy man. And no debates, no rallies. Essentially, you did the less is more strategy because that made him look stronger. Even though he utterly tanked in the debate. To be fair, Trump didn't do much better. But he didn't look good. Oh, and thank you for the 50 likes on YouTube. I do appreciate that.
Thank you.
The point is, you didn't even pick Biden. Don't try and say you did. You were supposed to pick Bernie both times, and you didn't. Because they did. Corporate America don't want him. And now Biden is going to have to appease his donors. Cause. Hell, he picked Kamala Harris as his running mate. He picked,
not only just like cause.
Yeah.
It's like he's going to have to appease his donors or else.
Yeah. There's also the thing about who he picked as his running mate. Senator Harris, who is now vice president, of course, and I will reference her as such going forward. The point is, she was annihilated by Tulsi Gabbard. Annihilated. She is the epitome of political corruption. The epitome of it. And you can say she's not, but Gabbard annihilated her because she was. She literally dropped out the next day because of what Tulsi did. Tulsi should have been the running mate. But never mind.
Yeah, but Tulsi doesn't play ball with the establishment.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but that's why also, the establishment didn't will them into existence.
Also, she's kind of prissy.
Well, I mean,
I'm joking.
I mean, I don't know what that one like white strand of hair that she's got going on, but that's some serious Animu shit, and I love it.
It's a homage to Rogue. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that works too. I don't know. I just like the style. It looks cool. It's kind of it's that salt and pepper look that guys usually run with, but then actually like, yeah, nice.
Yeah. Do you think that going forward for the next week, we're going to see anything interesting with regards to perhaps Biden doing things he said he'll do, or will he continue to stall or be stalled by others?
Yes, I think there will be interesting things. No, I don't think you'll hear about them.
Yep, yeah. I don't
You'll have to go digging for it. For example,
go on.
Remember that whole like kids in cages thing?
Oh yes, please. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Yeah. What are they called now, Trups?
I believe they're migrant overflow facilities.
Okay. Do they not oddly look like? Have you ever seen boot camp, Marine Corps boot camps, where they have loads of bunk beds in one room?
Oh well, yes, of course.
just in smaller spaces for children. That looks, I mean, a cage is obviously very inhumane, and especially if you're using, to make an argument, pictures taken from Palestine to make an American point. Fantastic.
Or worse, the Holocaust.
Oh, that too, yes, we can't do that. But
No, that would be terrible.
it would, obviously, yes, very, yeah. Just think, I mean, people have been talking about this as if it's a better idea to have kids, instead of being in cage, I mean, obviously cage is a bad thing anyway, but to instead just repackage it as a different type of facility with a new sticker on it.
Turd polishing, I think, is the word you use
a
lot.
It is Operation Turd Polish. No, but the facilities were for a different purpose, and they were just rebranded. They weren't even in use.
You know what's actually really funny? The exact building that Trump had used is the one that they allegedly have changed.
Is that one in Texas?
Yeah.
Oh, my life.
The same fucking building.
You've got to be. You've got to.
No, it's not. I couldn't make this shit up, dude. I couldn't if I wanted to. It's too like. It's too good to be a joke.
I'm sorry, but you cannot champion, or you cannot tear down one idea and replace it with something just because it has a few pillows in it and think that that is somehow better. Obviously, I wouldn't want these children to be separated from family in the first place, and I would like to know why they are in the first place. Obviously, some may be brought here without family or be in search of their family, and that gets tricky, I know. But come on.
I just want to point out, by the way, that in regards to the migrant overflow facilities under Trump, I had made a video about it, I think about 2 years ago.
Right.
Motherfuckers have FIFA and Xbox.
Fam.
I know people who are not in. I know people who live day to day without a fucking Xbox.
Mate, if I find out you guys have got yourself a PS5 in one of those buildings, since all we can find are PS5s that have been scalped here, I'm going to start telling everyone I'm 8 and my name is Gringo. Okay.
Name is White Boy.
It's White Boy. I'm just
funny.
I'm just going to do that. Because they'll believe that.
Yeah, they will.
I won't even bother with an accent either.
It just reminds me of the movie The Benchwarmers.
Yeah.
When the Puerto Rican guy comes out and he's like, "You're a kid?" He goes, "I'm 12." And he hands me the picture. It's just a thing that says, "I'm 12," and it's funny.
I love it.
Oh, God.
The facility is such a stupid
Most of the children are being sold. Yeah, well, that's... So, the actual background information on all of that shit is that there are kids whose parents will actually sell them to coyotes to move them across the border. Now, the coyotes tell them, yes, we will move your child to America and they will live a happy life. But the thing is, when you trust criminals, they're liars. So you actually just end up getting child trafficking, which is simultaneously really sad for the parents and also infuriating for a normal person to see the parents do that.
If only...
It's like, what's wrong with you?
If only there was a system in place that stopped... That had some kind of mechanism that could prevent a border being crossed illegally with children that were then being sold. I can't quite think.
No person is illegal, Omegon. But actually, one of the really unfortunate things, actually, now that I think about it, is there was a task force that was created under Trump that actually specifically targeted child traffickers.
Yeah.
Joe Biden has actually phased that out.
Of course he has. He signed, a dozen, Baker's dozen freaking executive orders to change things? That's not surprising. That was always going to go. So I'm surprised he hasn't already...
that one pissed me off.
I'm surprised he hasn't disarmed the police and already disbanded ICE. I'm surprised he hasn't.
No, you're right.
Okay. Well, I think we are done here.
Yeah.
Is there anything you would like to promote?
I have a link tree now.
Please post it in the chat again on YouTube, and I'll be sure to put it in the Spotify description as well when I upload this.
Because that makes it a lot easier to post my links places.
Yeah, I got one
instead
too,
of
and
being
I
like,
upgrade.
here's 5 lines of things.
Yeah, I got one too. It makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for joining. We are done. Thanks for that, for the generous donations and for smashing the like. Please consider giving this also a listen on Spotify afterwards. It just helps us push numbers up and all that.
If you want Omegon's sweet, sultry voice to lull you to sleep.
You mean the more relaxed voice? I don't.
Yeah,
it's
not
as
mine.
It's not as
aggressive,
compressed. Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining. We will be back next week unless Chops is about to tell me he won't be here next week.
I will be here next week. Yes.
Then we shall be back next week. Thank you again for joining us. Yes, so say goodnight, Trups.
Good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.